I now have the great pleasure to introduce to you our commencement speaker, Charlayne Woodard. Charlayne Woodard is a powerful and award-winning playwright, actress, and educator whose commitment to using theater to empower communities and create social change has been a hallmark of her career. She's a two-time Obie Award winner and a Tony Award nominee with an incredibly impressive list of stage credits, including the original Broadway company of Ain't Misbehavin', Jeremy O. Harris's Daddy at Signature Theater, Gertrude in the Public Theater's Hamlet, and the world premieres of Susan Laurie Parks' In the Blood and Lynn Nottage's Fabulation, or The Re-Education of Undine, and many, many more. Film and television audiences will likely remember her from M. Night Shyamalan's Glass and Unbreakable, as well as her roles in FX's groundbreaking series Pose, and NBC's Law & Order, yes, NBC's Law & Order SVU, among many others. Her plays, which have been produced extensively across the country, include Pretty Fire, Neat, In Real Life, The Night Watcher, Flight, and The Garden. She serves on the Council of the Dramatists Guild of America and has served on the boards of directors of both the Manhattan Theater Club and the La Jolla Playhouse, as well as an artistic trustee and fellow at the Sundance Institute. Please join me in welcoming Charlayne Woodard.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this incredible honor. To the faculty, distinguished guests, friends, and most importantly, to the USC School of Dramatic Arts class of 2022 MFA actors and MFA dramatic writers. Graduate school is challenging by its very nature. However, you, this extraordinary class of 22, had yet another challenge, a life-altering, life-threatening hurdle. You had the added challenge of chasing down master's degrees during a pandemic and a time of intense political turmoil, a reckoning with racism, and a powerful social movement to address it. This posed an entirely new set of questions. Will my family and I be safe from COVID? Will school continue? If school continues, how on earth will that happen? What would my work look like? And then some of you asked yourself, should I sit this year out? Will the pandemic be under control in another year? Will I even have an actual graduation? The devoted, dedicated faculty made the adjustment and helped you all move forward in order for us to celebrate you today in the flesh live. They were determined to provide the tools each of you needed to realize your full potential so that you could answer the call. You're all here today because you are answering that call. A strong impulse or inclination, it's a summons. I'm sure most of you have felt this calling as children. When you entertained relatives at family gatherings, felt it when you sang your first solo in chorus or church, standing at the bima, reciting Torah for bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. You felt it. You felt comfortable. You were home. And it seemed as natural to you as it was to eat a bowl of ice cream. Your calling. It puts you in the club. A society of brothers and sisters who carry on the tradition that Thespis created millennia ago when he was compelled, or perhaps directed, to step out of the chorus into the space of that marvelous light and speak. It started there. And now the baton has been passed on to you. I've been a professional actor, a proud union member since 1975. And since that time, I've also become a produced and published playwright. I write what I know, what I observe, what I hear, smell, feel. I am quite simply a storyteller who does so with her whole self, body and soul. And, okay, a pen and a legal pad. Success. It means different things to different people. There is no one way to have a successful career in our industry. My journey can't be your journey. But I thought it might be helpful to share some of what I experienced at the beginning of my career. The real work started at the Goodman School of Drama in Chicago. On day one, we had an assembly, and Dr. Bella Itkin, our acting teacher, told us, the only thing you are guaranteed in this business is rejection. If there's anything else you are good at, leave this building now. Because this business is so unfair, so unpredictable, so challenging, you will end up doing that other thing you're good at. But if all you know is acting, you've got a chance. And back then, there were only a handful of black students in the entire BFA and MFA programs. But in my second year, Vinette Carroll, the first black woman director of a hit Broadway musical, came as a guest artist to teach technique and to direct The Crucible, Arthur Miller's play about witch hunts, lies, and the misuse of religion to oppress, written 70 years ago and still so relevant. After weeks of exercises, the cast list was posted, and I was cast as Elizabeth Proctor, the pious wife of John Proctor. Now, I wanted Abigail, the bad girl, as I saw it back then. Well, on the first day of rehearsal, I came dressed in severe rehearsal garb, clutching a pocket New Testament, ready to do my best as Elizabeth. But Vinette asked if we were all satisfied with our casting. And I piped up. No, I need to play Abigail. This might be my only opportunity to be a lead in this school, to work with a brilliant director. Right then and there, Vinette gave me Abigail. What did I learn from that? Do the work, make yourself undeniable, and ask for what you need. One day in rehearsal, Vinette decided the choir should sing Peace Be Still while Abigail seduces John Proctor. She asked if anyone knew that song. I said, I do. I rehearsed the choir. Whether the wrath of the storm-tossed sea, no demons or men or whatever it be, no water can swallow the ship where lies the master of ocean and earth and sky. They all sweetly obey your will. Peace be still, peace be still, peace be still. Vinette screamed, darling, darling, you can sing. And that summer, she gave me a job in the bus and truck tour of her Broadway musical, Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope, written by Mickey Grant. Mickey Grant, the first actor, playwright, lyricist, composer I ever knew. In rehearsal, I asked Mickey 1,000 questions, and she said, I wanted to play a leading role in a Broadway play. So I found collaborators, and I wrote this play. What were the lessons this time? Listen to everything, and remember, you might get to use that information one day. Also, expect miracles. And nothing can hold you back but your own self-doubt. Don't you know that song, Peace Be Still, led to me working in original musicals for the next 15 years, all because I came to town with that one musical credit and a union card. But let me tell you, no work is more joyful. And at the same time, no work is more difficult than singing 32 songs a night, 8 shows a week, with only my Arthur Lessack training to fall back on. But fall back I did, and the training caught me. And what was the lesson learned? In spite of challenges, keep learning new things. There will always be challenges, but without conflict, there's no story. The legendary tennis champion Arthur Ashe said, be where you are. Use what you have, do what you can. After a while, I decided to turn the beat around and work with words and no music, so I left New York City for LA. I took every musical credit off my resume and made it look as if I had just gotten out of drama school. Immediately, I was offered sitcoms. Now, that wasn't my plan, but I said yes. Yes to everything, knowing action begets action. I struggled, okay. The work was fast, scripts changed daily, and if you were not funny, you could be written out of the episode by the end of the week. Scary. Out of the frying pan into the fire as far as I was concerned. But at the same time, my grandmother died, and I was grief-stricken. Luckily, I had recently joined a church and signed up for the women's retreat. Now, a few days after I registered, my pastor's wife called. Charlayne, Bishop and I saw you on Broadway, and you were terrific. Could you please prepare 20 minutes of song for the ladies on our first night of the retreat? I said, no. I'm grieving. And she said, well, I'm sure you'll come up with something. And I had 2 weeks to do so. Now, all I could think about was Grandmama. How could I carry on without her in my life? I decided to write a story about what was in my heart, that my grandmother's influence had jump-started my career. I call the story Joy. On the first night of the retreat, 400 women sat at circular tables for dinner in a hotel banquet hall. I sat at my table of 8 women and was very quiet, wearing a body mic. And finally, I was introduced. Honestly, I was scared to death. I was about to do something I had never done before. I was going to tell a story, actually live a story for 400 women. I began by singing Grandmama's favorite song to force myself to move from the table up to the stage. But by the time I reached center stage and finished Grandmama's song, 400 women finished her song along with me. And then we were off to the races, the laughter, the call and response. The women stood and waved napkins in the air. We lived in the silences. We wiped tears away in the silences. I felt like a free fall into the material and caught an updraft and flew. It was the most extraordinary, sublime experience I had ever had to date in the theater. It was transformative. And above all, it was a surprise. That night, after 400 women hugged me individually, I decided to write 4 more stories about my childhood to go with that and create a play that would let New York City audiences, directors, and casting agents know that I could hold down a play without singing, that I could write a play. Y'all, I said yes, not knowing where it would lead to, and not fearing failure. Listen, telling stories that have not been told and celebrating lives that have not been celebrated enough is life-altering. Today, we find ourselves living in a world that needs us now more than ever before. There is tremendous suffering on this planet. Democracy, as we know it, is under attack. All over the world, humanity needs artists to be witnesses. And artists have always taken on that job, fighting the Vietnam War, fighting for civil rights, fighting McCarthyism and the House Un-American Activities Committee. Artists tell the story with their music, dance, art, plays, books. Arthur Miller's The Crucible, Alvin Ailey's Cry, James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, Pete Seeger's If I Had a Hammer, Nina Simone's Mississippi Goddamn, Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit. Oh, and my guy, Banksy. I like Banksy's art. Yeah, he's fine. People We don't have the luxury of living in a bubble. It is our responsibility to observe it all, to be a part of all of it, examine all sides of the issues we deal with in our complicated lives, our changing world. Our work has the power to affect change. It has in the past, and it will right now. Trust yourself. Trust your training. You are enough. Through the plays you write and the characters you portray, your villains and your heroes, you tell the story of our past and present and our future. You create joy, create empathy. You move people to be better. In closing, I'm going to close the way Hire closed. Come to the edge. We might fall. Come to the edge. It's too high. Come to the edge. And they came. And they flew. Congratulations, class of 22. Step into that space of that marvelous light and speak. Thank you.